More than welcome. So I would love to know, just as a bit of a kind of temperature check, where do you currently feel that you are right now? Are you wanting to be able to charge more, but you're not sure that people will pay it? Or B, is it I'm ready to increase my prices, but unsure how to communicate my value? Or C, I'm starting to resent my work and clients because I'm almost overworked and I wish that I could earn more and work less? Or is it a different one?
I would say I'm at A, but also, so as you know, I'm quite new to the whole business thing myself. And even though I have a background in sales, I when it comes to selling myself, I don't seem to be very good at that. So I found that I've got massive imposter syndrome, and I've almost found myself talking myself out of clients when it comes to the
Yes. Oh my
money side
goodness.
of things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I actually have the exact same challenge when I first started in my business, because I was the same. I came from corporate sales and business development. And it's so funny, like when you're selling someone else's product, it's such a different thing to then selling your own service. And there's so much of your own headspace that comes into play, and all your own doubts and fears and all of the stuff that comes into play. And I think that one of the biggest things, and I hope that you take away from today's masterclass, is that we've got to separate our business from ourselves and allow that our clients then get to make the decision based on the service or the offering rather than just ourselves, right? Otherwise, we can totally bring our own doubt and fear into it. So yeah, so hopefully we can dive into that today. So that's awesome. So what I'm going to be covering off are the 6 key things to master in your business in order to charge more, understanding your expanders to accelerate your growth, and how to become the go-to person in your industry. And then throughout the whole part, we'll be going into all the different mindset blocks that keep you stuck at the same stage and how to overcome them. So hopefully by the end of this masterclass, you'll know exactly what's stopping you from charging what you're worth and the key focus areas that you need in order to be the go-to person in your industry. And I honestly believe that it's important to consider the possibility of becoming the go-to person in your industry, even if you feel like you're not there yet. Because I feel like one of the biggest things is we often almost take ourselves out of the opportunity, or take ourselves out of, or discount our own value, go, oh no, I couldn't be that person because I'm not an expert. You don't need to be an expert in order to be someone's go-to person, right? In order for even your customers or past clients to run into someone, a friend, and says, oh, hey, I'm having a problem with this. And then they turn around and go, oh, I know exactly who you need to work with. That's the whole purpose of being a go-to person. So no matter what your service or product that you're selling, having that go-to energy is really important to be able to charge more. So to get the most out of this masterclass, I'd love for you just to remove any distractions, put headphones on if you need to, grab a pen and paper, and remove any other tabs and stuff, and just give yourself the opportunity to work on your business for the next 60 minutes. Can you hear the crow like going off in the background?
I can't. I can't hear anything your side. I can hear my side, but no, not anything your side.
All righty. So I'm imagining that you're showing up today's masterclass because you do want to earn a little bit more money, and then you want to be possibly known for what you do, and that you may want to have your dream clients booking calls with you and searching you out. That's the whole purpose of today's masterclass. So if this is what you are looking for, then this is definitely where you are in the right place. So I honestly believe that you have to believe in the value that you offer before anyone else will. Your customers and clients aren't going to be the ones to search out to find out whether you're the right fit for them. You need to be the one that actually communicates it to them. Yeah. And we need to actually have the deep-seated belief system that we have something valuable to offer. Otherwise, no one else will feel it. No one else will experience it or believe it in order to have that certainty in order to invest with you. So for those of you who are brand new to me, my name is Christine Corcoran. I'm a business mindset coach, and I work with stressed out and overwhelmed women in business to help them level up their mindset, which then impacts the results in their business. So I'm obsessed with money mindset. I'm obsessed with what makes you tick, and with all of the qualifications that I have with Master Coach, NLP, M-braining, hypnosis, human behavior, the leadership, like all of these qualifications is just basically communicating to you that I want to understand what drives you, what motivates you, what inspires you, what changes your behavior, why you do what you do, because that's actually the foundation to making change in your business. So you're in the right place if you currently avoid looking at your numbers or avoid conversations around money or talk people out of working with you. If you love what you do and would love to have a more profitable and sustainable business and not have to worry about money so much, you're also in the right place that if every time you think about raising your prices, you go into a spiral of fear or doubt and talk yourself out of doing it. So let's dive into the 6 key things that you need to master in order to charge more in your business. The first one, and it's the foundation of everything, is your belief in yourself, your belief in your self-worth. When you believe that you are worthy, everything else becomes easier, right? And when we actually unpack what it takes to develop your worth, it's really interesting because we start to explore, hang on a minute, it's not just someone else's decision to believe that I'm worthy of this, or it's not our customers saying, oh, this is valuable. It actually starts with us. So I want you to start to question, what would you need to believe about yourself in order to feel more worthy? And this is going to be challenging. This is not easy questions to necessarily answer. And so you may want to journal on it. You may want to take a screenshot and then think about this a little bit later and start to explore, well, hang on a minute. Okay, so for me to feel like I can be the go-to person, for me to feel like I can charge more, for me to feel like I'm worthy of receiving new clients, new money, new business, what would I have to believe about myself first? Because that's what it comes down to. And often what happens is we're so conditioned in society to not believe that we're worthy. We're constantly told that we're not good enough, not smart enough, not pretty enough, not all of the things enough to basically say, okay, we need to fix this. And this is unfortunately works really well for sales and marketing, which sucks. But it's one of those things that we actually need to take a step back and go, well, I decide that I'm worthy. No one else decides whether I'm worthy or not. We've got to decide that first and then act as if, yeah? And the more we do that, we more actually start to believe it, right? So then what would you need to believe about what you're selling in order to charge more for it? And this is really key, right? So I want you to think about this and write down the answer to this question, because this is what you need to be able to portray. This is what you need to communicate, right? What would you need to believe about it? Because often that's also what the customer needs to believe about it too, okay? So once you believe it, it's easier then to communicate it and actually have the authenticity and genuineness in order to share that and actually believe it. So would you need to believe that it's valuable? Would you need to believe that it's going to give a certain return on investment? Would you need to believe that it's going to create a certain transformation? Would you need to believe that someone else actually values this and wants to spend money on it? Would you need to believe that there's plenty of customers out there that need what you have to offer? Right? Have a think about it. Is there anything that comes to mind for you, Gail?
I think it's for me, I think it's that I need to believe that I can actually give them what I can say, what I'm saying I can give them. And I know that I can, but it's a confidence thing after a pretty bad bout of corporate bullying. So yeah, I need to kind of start believing in my skills a little bit more after being told for a long time that I'm shit at my job. So I know that I'm not.
Yeah, good.
But yeah, just sometimes that doesn't always. Yeah, the minute I start to have those conversations, those doubts kind of creep in, and
yeah. And so I'd also encourage you to think about how there are other external things that impact the result, right? Because it's not always all you that create the outcome, right? Because with the services that you offer, there is an element of what is happening in the market. There's an element that's what's happening within their business. There's an element of how they communicate their value. Like there's so much like other moving parts.
There's
And
a
so
lot of factors that I'm not in control of, and I think I struggle with that element of it as well. Because I'm not in control of it, it means that I can't fully be confident in saying that it's going to work.
Yeah. So what you need to do is get clear on what you can guarantee.
Yeah.
Right. Like with so many different clients that I've worked with, and also with the way that I also communicate mine, like as a coach, I can't guarantee your results because I can't guarantee that you're going to take the action, right?
Yeah.
Like I can help you work through all the mindset blocks. I can give you advice. I can give you strategies, like all the key pieces. But if you don't follow through, right, like that's also not on me. So the key thing is like, look at what you can guarantee and think about how you communicate that. And then look at and actually ask for the commitment from the other person of what they're going to deliver, right? And how they're going to follow through, because it needs to be a partnership. Otherwise you'll end up going and putting the blame or the onus or the responsibility all just on yourself. So like, I think the key piece too is like highlighting that and educating that as well, because not all, some customers may come and go, well, you need to give me this result because I'm paying this much, right? Whereas actually you need to communicate and educate the key piece that is not in your control.
Yeah.
And I think that when you do that, you will feel much more confident in what you can deliver.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's for me, like in a corporate setting, I'm absolutely fine having that conversation 100%. And I've had to have those conversations, but when it comes to doing it for myself, now that I'm the boss slash CEO slash founder or whatever, it's a whole different ball game. It's just like I know that it's a mental block. So
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, cool. So as we go through this, let's see what else comes up, because I feel like there could be some other things that are playing out here. Awesome. All right. So number 2 is learning to communicate your value. And one of the key things is we want to actually disconnect ourselves from that value from our businesses, because you are not your business, and your worth, because that's why I started with number 1, believing in your worth. Your worth is most important, and what you deliver, the business that you own, the prices that you charge, the amount of money that you make, like all the milestones, like all those things, don't tap into your worth. Your worth is inherent. It already exists, and it's not going to be discounted based on what you charge. And so it's important that we separate those two and then go, okay, so how do I communicate the value of the business or the value of the offer so that then that's clear? So the way that I look at this is when we communicate value, we're either saving our people time, money, or energy. Or another way to put that, it would be effort. So I'd like to think about how I communicate value based on how am I saving them time or giving them time? How am I saving them money or making them money? Or how am I saving them energy or effort? Right? The way that I look at that is like, for me, like writing an email takes me so much time and effort, and it's not my forte, it's not my strength, and it's something that I find really challenging. And so I can actually end up procrastinating for a long period of time before I actually get it done. And it's one of those things that I just don't love. And so what I find is when we get down to that, that's where my value piece sits for that. So hiring a copywriter is something that I want to do and do because it's one of those things that I find the most challenging, right? So it's actually by hiring someone in that space helps me. Hey, Sally, nice to see you. And so by hiring someone to do that gives me, not only saves me time and money, absolutely, because I could be spending that time that I'm not procrastinating on copywriting to actually go do things that it's much more in my zone of genius. But thirdly, the most value for hiring a copywriter is the energy and effort, because when I think about actually doing it, it gives me like a whole like dreaded feeling of like, oh my God, that's going to take forever. So it's like thinking about how you get into your client's shoes outside of yourself. So then you're not going, okay, so what am I delivering? How's the value that I deliver? It's more about, hang on, what is the service delivering for the customer and where are they at? What do they need? And how do I communicate that based on time, money, and energy and effort? So it's one of those things that I think we don't necessarily always take the time to do per service, which I feel like is one of the ways that helps you communicate it on your customer's level, because it may be quite easy for you. It may be something that you enjoy doing, and then we find really challenging to actually charge. So we really want to get really clear on how we communicate our value. So Sally, feel free if you have questions, you can just keep your mic on, turn your mic on and just ask away. I'd love to have them interactive. So we're just diving into the 6 key things that it takes to charge more in your business. Cool. So here are some of the questions that I think about when it comes to communicating your value. I look at the direct and indirect. Oh, why is my chat going away? Hang on, my chat's disappeared. Oh my goodness, so sorry. Yeah, all good, Sally, no stress. You haven't missed too much. Okay, let me just. So communicating a value, I like to think about things as an indirect or indirect result, right? So what impact does your product or service have on them directly? And so if you work with business owners, you want to think about how it's actually having a direct impact on their business. So that might be ROI. It might be how it's saving them time. It might be how they're saving them money. It might be solving a problem, right? But then you also want to think about the impact that it has indirectly. So indirectly might be like, how does it make them feel? How is it actually saving them time, money, and energy and effort in external ways? So it could be giving them more time with their family, right? It could be allowing them to stay in their zone of genius and feel like they're actually progressing in their business. It could be actually helping them achieve one of their biggest goals that they've had on their to-do list and vision board for a really long time. So really starting to think about that indirect impact, because it's more than just one little key service. And when we learn to actually communicate this value on their level, remember, and notice here when I'm asking these questions, it's got nothing to do with us, right? Nothing. It's still all on them. And then we want to go think about short-term, long-term. So what will it give them short-term? So if you're working with them for a short period of time, we think about that result in that term. Then we also want to think about the long term, because if they implement what you teach them, if they create the change or transformation that you create for them, if they have or continue to do what you've taught them, if they solve the problem, how is that going to actually serve them in the long run, right? How will they feel in 6 months' time, 12 months' time, 5 years down the track? What's that actually going to give them? And often we don't go to this extent because we think, oh, how do I even guarantee that? It's not about the guarantee. It's actually about the communication of, if they were to execute on everything that you're giving them in an effective way, then they're going to have a certain result, and that's going to have an impact. So we want to actually communicate that in all of those terms. Actually, the other key thing that I also like to do here is think about like the value that you're delivering. Is it a tangible result? And what's the emotion tied to that tangible result? Because people buy based on emotion, right? So how do they feel with that problem being solved, or how do they feel with that result? And so we really want to think about the emotional impact and how that will make them feel, and how we communicate that value. And sometimes another way to think about it is actually the cost of inaction compared to action. So that's another really key thing, is like a lot of service-based businesses especially, is that we think about, okay, so I can deliver this service and it feels like a short-term result, or it feels like a thing that I give them, right? But then we actually think about, if we didn't give them this, or they didn't have this transformation, or if they didn't actually invest in this, where will they be in 6 months' time? Where will they be in a year's time? And that's actually the value, right? It's one of the biggest things for me, like the cost of inaction. When working with a coach like myself, mindset is one of the biggest things that holds us back. And so it's like, well, hang on a minute. If you were to sit in this exact same place where you are right now, and the mindset blocks that are keeping you stuck at this level, if you don't work on this now, where will you be in 6 months, right? And how will that make you feel? And what impact will that have on your business? What impact will it have on your relationships? What impact will it have on other areas of your life? And that's the key value when it comes to mindset. Like, honestly, it's actually like, if you shifted this today and we got rid of it, imagine where you could be in 6 months, imagine where you could be in a year's time. And it's like how you actually communicate that cost. And so really thinking about those 3 core things, so that actual impact, direct and indirectly, short-term and long-term impact, and the cost of inaction on action. Any questions? No? Cool, amazing. The number 3, I have to speak to mastering your skill, because I feel like it's so important that we really consider how we're delivering our services and doing them really, really well. And what can happen is, in early stages of business, we kind of serve everybody. We go out there and we're like, yeah, I'm going to help everyone. And then you get to a certain stage in your business where you really need to actually redefine the service that you're offering, and really get super clear on how you do that really well. And it might be thinking about how you master your customer journey. It might be considering how you really niche to a specific area. So then you're really helping specific people, that then people know you become well known in that area because you do serve a certain person, or you serve a certain outcome. And so mastering your skill, I think, is super important to consider, because it goes, if I didn't cover it, like, I think it's one of those things of like, but what if you're shit at what you do? Right? Like, we can't change that. And so if you want to be able to charge more, you've got to be really good at that. So it might be learning on how you continue to upskill. It might be how you need to consider the transformation. So one of the key things that I see a lot of people do is they just deliver everything and then hope that the client gets the transformation based on the education we give or the information we give, right? But if we just take a step back and go, well, hang on a minute, for my client to get from A to Z, what specifically has to happen? What do I need to teach them? What do they need to overcome in order for them to get there? Because that's what they're actually paying for, right? And so rather than getting caught up in all the things, because what can happen, especially like people pleasers, if we get really stuck in over delivering, we actually over service and over deliver, and that creates a lot of overwhelm for clients, right? So we want to actually peel it back. And that's the best part of that part of business, where you actually start to peel things back and go, how do I simplify and be amazing at what I do, right? It's one of the best things that I've done in my business, is actually simplify and go, what do I absolutely love doing? How can I improve what I do? And what do I actually need in order for me to create a specific transformation? I know that I cannot deliver the outcomes that I want to create for my clients in one session. I know that for a fact now. Over the years of working with my clients, there's a specific framework that I've created over a period of time that I work with my initial clients to get them from A to Z, right? Because sometimes people don't know what they need. They think that they do, and then they come to you and they're like, oh, I just want to work on this. I want to feel more confident, or I want to just overcome this problem. And really, like with the work that I do, when we actually dive into it, it's much more than just one thing. And so I know with that experience that for me to actually master the outcome, there is a certain period of a certain level of commitment and certain level of sessions that I need to do with a client in order to create that transformation. So it's having the confidence to actually step back and go, well, hang on a minute, for me to give my client not just what they want, but give them what they really need. How do I create that in my framework? How do I create that with the offers that I put out there? So that's one of those key things that I needed to just touch on, because I feel like we can't talk about charging more unless you're really, really good at what you do and are actually delivering on what you say and creating that outcome. So having a think about this from these perspectives, what result or transformation do you create or would you like to create? And what needs to be a part of that and what doesn't, right? More does not equal more, right? And I think that we need to peel things back a little bit. Number 2, consider your full customer journey. And 3, execute on what you say you're going to deliver. And then you'll become known for that result, known for that outcome. And then people want to work with you. Number 4 is literally leading on from this, be known and be visible for the results that you create. So getting really clear on what those results are, and then start to actually increase your visibility. Because one of the things that I see, which is really challenging, I know, is that there's people out there that are really good at marketing, that are really good at selling, yet their service isn't great. Okay, so they might be inexperienced, they may be not as qualified as you, they may be less experienced than you, but they've nailed this piece. So they're everywhere, they're selling themselves, possibly inauthentically, but they're selling themselves, and they're getting your clients. They're getting the people that really need your service because they're being known, they're being really visible for that result. So one of the key things is, like, don't be shy. When you figure out what that result is, don't be shy and make sure that you're delivering it. You shout it from the rooftops, you're letting people know, share social proof, let people know exactly what you can do. And so this may come back to actually going, well, hang on a minute, what do I want to be known for? I remember asking this question in my business early on, going, well, hang on a minute, because I was getting a couple of clients that would come my way that just didn't feel like the right fit. And I was like, well, hang on a minute. I don't want to be like, I had clients coming to me going, oh, I think I really need to work on my marketing strategy. And I was like, where in my content do I say I'm a marketing strategist? What is going on? And I was like, oh, hang on a minute, what have I been talking about? And so I had to actually do an audit on my socials to look at, oh, hang on, what have I been talking about recently? And why would I be attracting that? And had to ask myself, well, what do I want to be known for? Right? What am I known for right now? And what results is that delivering? And then what do I want to be known for? And what do I need to be communicating and being visible about in order to attract those level of clients? And sometimes it's actually going, what am I actually afraid to share? So how could you be polarizing in the space and communicate your differences? Or how can you speak to things that you don't agree with in your industry, so then you can set yourself apart from other people? That's how you become known for something. And that's how you then set yourself apart from others, and people then want to pay for your service because you are setting yourself apart and becoming that go-to person. So is there anything that you're afraid to share? And I want you to ask yourself, like, what is it about that you're afraid of? And if that is judgment or rejection, I want you to ask yourself, whose judgment and rejection are you worried about? And I guarantee you those people will not be the ones that pay your bills. They're most likely going to be other competitors, most likely going to be family members or friends or whatever it might be, and go, okay, so I really need to really focus back on my customers and focus back on what they really need. And if they need to hear this, then they need to hear it. Like, one of the things at the moment that I'm still cultivating how I want to communicate it, because I'm still sitting with it at the moment. And I really want to deliver it in a way that's going to be clear, but not, what's the word? Like, it's going to be polarizing, but it's not going to be a judgment or I'm still trying to really bring it together and figure out how I'm going to communicate it, because there is such a stigma in the coaching industry around people not getting the results that they really want. And they're signing up for programs that say all these things, but don't actually fucking deliver on them. And so it's like, well, how do we communicate how you choose a coach, right? And what qualifications that you look for, and what are the key things that you're really wanting to get out of that, and making sure that that coach is actually going to deliver on that. Because I've had so many people come to me and say certain things and have certain experiences that I feel so sad that they've had that experience. And I don't want them to feel like don't be hard on the coaching industry. There are actually incredible coaches out there. You just got to look for them. And I guess it's the same in all industries.
Yeah.
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 Exactly the same in marketing. For sure. So get clear on what it is that you want to be known for, what you don't want to be known for, and start to actually develop the confidence to start sharing on the topics that you feel afraid to share on, because that's actually what's going to set you apart. Otherwise, we just keep repeating the same thing that other people are repeating in our industries. Number 5, if you want to charge more, you're going to have to get more comfortable with money. So one of the key things that I love working with my clients on is releasing money blocks. Money is one of our biggest polarizing things, and it can activate a lot of fear, a lot of guilt, a lot of limiting belief systems that we have around money. And if we judge money, if we don't like money, if we feel uncomfortable around money, we're always going to repel it. And if you want to receive more and be able to charge more, then we need to get comfortable with money as a separate thing. And a lot of the clients that I've worked with in the past, they've had belief systems like, if I take money from another person, I'm actually leaving them with less. And we've got to shift that, right? It's not about the money, it's about the value exchange. So some of the key things that I see is people getting stuck in the time versus money situation, where I'm selling this time-based information or a 60-minute session. And that's always going to get your clients to determine whether you are the right fit based on price. And you don't want people comparing based on price. You want people comparing based on value. So that's why number 2 was communicate your value, right? Because that's actually how you level up and be able to charge more. The next one was having to shift our belief system around having to work hard for money. It's one of the biggest things that I see with a lot of clients that I work with, or a scarcity mindset. Now, we're very conditioned and programmed in this world to have a lot of scarcity, and the work hard to earn money belief system is often being passed down from generations to generation. My parents had it. It got passed down to me. I then had to feel like I had to prove my worthiness by working harder, when really we've got to shift out of that belief system, work on those money blocks, release those money blocks, so then you can actually receive money in a healthy way, in a more comfortable, improved relationship with money way, because then it allows you to be able to level up. And one of the best parts about releasing that belief system around having to work hard for money is the incessant need to always be constantly doing more. You no longer have that. It's like hang on a minute, do I want to do this? Rather than feeling like I have to do this. I have to keep working. I can't rest. I can't take a break. It's one of the biggest things, of course, so much burnout in online business, right? And the last one here is judgments about wealth. So if we're judging another person for their wealth, for their confidence, for whatever it is that they're portraying, then we're actually repelling that. And so I see this so much, especially we may judge other women that are doing well, or we may judge, if there's been judgments just around people in the way that they use their wealth, then we are going to be repelling that. So we want to actually go, well, hang on a minute. I need to unpack that judgment. Like, why am I judging another person? Why am I judging another form of wealth? Because if I have a belief system around that I need to work on that myself. It's not about that person. It's activating it within me. Absolutely. And I want to recognize that, hang on, more money does not make people a bad person. It's an amplifier. Like, I honestly believe money is an amplifier. And when we judge another person, we're going to be repelling it. So here's some of the money fears that I see that stops us from earning what we're worth. That more money will bring more problems, right? No, bring on the problems. Like, that's fine. With more money, you can deal with more problems. If you become wealthy, those closest to you may judge you or leave you. Really big one with a lot of women that I work with. It's so interesting to see, like, they have this fear around that next level because they're worried. It's like an undertone, right? Like, it might be because our family or friends judge others with money. And so we know that if we were to get to that wealth, that they would judge us. And we don't want to be judged by the closest people around us. The next one is you worry that not being able to handle the responsibility. And one of the biggest things is undefined fear will always hold power over you. So if you are fearing it at that bigger level, it's already playing up with you here, right? The level that you're playing at right now, it's already impacting you. So when it comes to that level of responsibility, we've also got to remember that, hang on, there's a lot that's going to happen between now and then. So how do I actually prepare for it, right? It's the same thing with getting into business. You didn't know how to run a business until you started running one. To have all those experiences, to learn all those lessons in order to do things differently and learn from other people, obviously. But it's starting to think about, hang on a minute, is that even a belief system that serves me? because a lot of these aren't serving us in any way, shape, or form. Sometimes it could be that we already have a bad relationship with money. So we might overspend, we may hoard, we may avoid looking at our money. And then the underlying thing with that is that we think that if we get more, we still have a bad relationship with money. So we've got to heal that relationship. Or we fear that it could be all taken away, or that you'll have to work even harder. I was talking to a client this the other day, actually, and she was like, oh, she really wants $1 million business. But as soon as she did it, her body like slumped. Like she was like, yeah, I really want $1 million business. And then she kind of went like this. And I was like, what is going on there? And I was like, okay, so there was some type of emotional response that happened as you said that. So you said it and then you had a thought about it. And she was like, well, I'm already exhausted. Like, how am I going to have $1 million business? And I was like, okay, so we've got to work on that belief system, and we've got to work on the strategy around it. I've actually got to work on your business model, because if you're already exhausted, let's look at that, because that's probably because of boundaries. Let's be clear. And the last one, you may feel awkward already talking about money because it's may have been talked about in an untoward way, maybe as you were a kid. So it might have been that it was a bad thing to talk about money. It could be that it was dirty or filthy, or, you shouldn't talk about money, like it was actually shamed upon. And so what we want to do is actually recognize that money is a separate entity, and it's an energy that we can utilize to support the growth and the mission of our business. It's not something that has a dirtiness to it, right? Like I said, money is an amplifier. So if you're already greedy, it'll make you more greedy. If it's already something that you will use in an untoward way, it'll continue to do that for you. So we want to actually shift and improve our relationship with money. Any questions before I move on to number 6? No? Cool.
No, I just thought of more reasons, but that's okay.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. There's so much. When it comes to money blocks, there are literally like.
I think I did the opposite of one that you were saying, like,
yeah.
for not having enough, like the other way around.
In what way? Tell me.
Or more that, I suppose, as you get older and you mix with other people or that type of thing, or even where you live or the cars you drive and that type of thing, that you're like, not good enough, but what's the word? It's more like, I don't have that yet, but you're working towards it, or I'm at a point in my life, like I'm, 40 plus, etc. I should have it by now, those types of thoughts.
Yeah.
Where you always have to.
When I ever get it, it's too late. Like, so there's the running thoughts, isn't it? Like more like, it's too late, why bother,
Yeah. And that's most
yeah.
likely going to be because our brains have the evidence from the past, right? So we've got all of those.
Interesting. You can turn it around in your own mind, but it just takes time, because you can't go, actually, it's, but still happen.
And the thing is too, though, when you think about like other people who have achieved certain level of wealth or success in business, they actually think very differently to people who are challenged with money, right? So it's about the different mindsets that we adopt, but it's also going, well, things can change pretty quickly, right? Like sometimes you can come into a windfall of money, win the lottery. It could be you have a really great business idea and it takes off. Like lots of different things happen. And I think that it's about how we already are discounting our worth, or we're already discounting our abundance based on the past. And the past doesn't always have to equal the future. So our brain's always going, well, if it hasn't happened yet, why? Like we've already had 40 years. Why hasn't it happened? Whereas we can go, oh, hang on a minute. How do I think about it differently in order to welcome more money in order to develop that abundance? And then number 6 is the confidence in sales. It's one of those key things that I think that a lot of us have doubt and fear around, and can cause us, and especially belief systems around sales. And it's one of those skills that we need to learn. If we're going to be successful in business, we need to learn the foundations, at least, of sales, and to be able to develop a comfortable sales process that doesn't feel icky for you. So when I think about sales, or when you think about sales, what comes up for you? If you were to say, is it A, you struggle with sales and so you just bumble your way through it and convert less than you like? Or B, I'm okay with promoting myself online, but my conversions aren't great? Or C, I feel confident with sales? And whatever it is for you, let me know.
I'm a B.
Yeah?
Somewhere between the A and the B.
Yeah, I think I'm B.
Yeah. Cool. So I think one of the key things that we think when we get into business, we should know it all, right? Like, but sales is a skill. So if you've never learned it, if you've never actually thought or understood the process of it, then it can be one of those things that holds us back, because we're not considering, like we end up just actually like going, well, this is what I offer, instead of actually taking someone through a decision-making process in order to buy. And so we can get really fumbled around it. And so I wonder what the difference is like, okay, so Am I not communicating the value? Am I not giving people ways to work with me? Am I not taking someone through a decision-making process to create the conversion? Am I not making offers? Am I not actually asking for people to make a decision? Like, what's the missing piece? Because when it comes to sales, it's absolutely a process. And underlying that can be a lot of fears. So it could be that I don't want to be salesy or pushy. One of the girls in the masterclass the other day, she was talking about that. She's like, I don't want to seem pushy. And I'm like, one of the biggest things that causes the feeling of pushiness is actually doing that thing that I just mentioned, is actually just presenting an offer without determining whether that's the right fit for the client, right? The only reason why it feels pushy is because that person hasn't actually articulated that they want it, right? When someone wants it, like if someone was to reach out to you and go, I really want to work with you. I love everything that you do. I wanted to know exactly how to work with you. Can you please tell me all the details? You would be like, it's so easy, right? You're like, yes, absolutely. Let's talk about it. I'll break it down. What do you really need? What's going on for you? Tell me more about you. And you actually end up taking them through a much more enjoyable process because you're not doubting the rejection. You're not going, oh, they're going to be pushy if I make an offer, right? It's because you actually have the permission. So we want to actually allow the permission to be a part of the process. So then it feels easier and much more of an exciting, enjoyable process rather than one that feels pushy. Underlying this can also be a fear of what people may say or think. It could be a fear of rejection. It could be a fear of not meeting people's expectations. And so then, like we talked about that before you jumped on, Sally Gay was talking about that of like, how do I even know that I can deliver that? Or how can I say that I can deliver that and prove that I can deliver it? Like having that doubt of whether the value is there. Fear of not meeting expectations, fear of telling people that people might tell you it's too expensive. I love that question. I love when someone says it's too expensive and I'm like, okay, cool. For what? It's too expensive compared to what? Right? Like it's one of those things that we have objections come our way and we run the opposite direction instead of actually welcoming them and letting them be a part of the conversation and allowing that to be a good thing, not a bad thing. Like when you're actually getting objections, it usually means because people are interested in what it is that you have to sell. And so they want to know a little bit more about it. And so they want you to help them overcome that objection. Sometimes it could be the fear that people won't see the value, or that they may see you as underqualified and inexperienced, or doubt that you'll be able to create the result that they want. Or it could be that fear that you won't be good enough. So a lot of fears, sales bring up so many fears. And when we start to actually unpack them, we can start to then go, okay, so what about the process is missing that is actually creating that space, creating that exact example? Or it could be, again, we want to separate ourselves from our business because you're selling an offer or a result or an outcome. You're not selling you, right? They're not rejecting you. And so if we're able to do that and really look at that from a completely objective position, you can help the client go make the decision, right? Because it's not about you, right? Because if you were able to go, well, hang on a minute, they've got this problem and they need the solution and you have the solution. What is it about that solution that needs to be tailored, or what is it about the concerns that they have about the solution that is not fitting? Because you can learn so much through those conversations. And if you allow it to be a conversation, rather it be, oh my God, I'm about to be rejected. Oh my God, they're going to say no. Oh my God, they don't think I'm expensive, right? If those things are running through your head, you're too much in your head and you need to get into your shoes of your client. So I think about, when you think about these 6 core things, this is actually how I think about it. It's a feeling. So it's literally, I love a bit of Margot Robbie. Like before of the holy shit, oh my God, is this going to work? I don't know if it's going to work. Like all the doubt and fear, until afterwards, when you nail these 6 core pieces, it's like, fuck yeah, I've got this. And I love how Margot Robbie has that confidence and air about her, that groundedness of like, yeah, I'm here. I've got it. Like, do you know what I mean? There's such a different authenticity about her in that energy. Whereas I feel like when you notice her play these types of roles, it's kind of like, I don't think she's not confident. I think she's amazing. So when it comes to becoming the go-to person, I honestly believe that there's key things that you need to master. So visibility, absolutely. And a clear message, clear sales message, absolutely. But the underlying key piece is the believing in your worth. And this is where you notice something that's not right. So you may notice as certain people that you follow, or certain people that you've come across on social media, and they may be nailing their message and being really visible everywhere, but there's just something that's just not hitting it for you. There's just something that you're like, no, I'm not really buying into what they've got to sell. And that's actually because underlying that is their worth. They're not actually really, they haven't developed their self-worth enough to believe what it is that they're delivering, right? So there's like a difference in the energy that they're portraying. And so that's when I look about the business energetics, it's all about that worth piece, because becoming that go-to person, you want to be that person from that perspective of people knowing that you can deliver that message and can deliver that result, but also that they want to trust that you can do that, right? So a lot of the time this comes to a level of grounded certainty. So people buy based on certainty. So if there is a conversation that you're having, or if you're delivering a message, if there's an air, it's another way, only other way I can think about describing it. If there's like an air of inauthenticity, or if there's some lack of certainty, like if you're sharing something and you're like, yeah, I think, yep, it's going to be really good. Like there's something about you that feels uncertain about it. That's when they feel that it's off. That's when they feel like there's just something not right here and they don't make that next step. So when it comes to believing in your worth, we want to actually work on your self-worth and acknowledge what you bring to the table, acknowledge how you are the best person to serve that person, and then go, okay, what can I be 100% certain of? This is what creates that groundedness. And this is what I was saying with you, Gail, earlier, of like, you know, there's certain things that are outside of your control with your service, right? You can't control what they're going to do. You can't control the market. You can't control, you know, external things, but what can you control? What can you be absolutely certain of? And when you can sit in that, that's where you have that groundedness, right? And yes, it comes with practice, and yes, it comes with owning it. And when you start to actually own that worth, it becomes easier then to actually be visible and share your message in a really clear way. Because self-worth underpins all of it, right? When you work on your self-worth, you shift all of that doubt and fear about being able to charge more, because it's not about the money, right? Be able to earn more and become that go-to person, which just becomes part of who you are, becomes part of your identity. So one thing that I would suggest you do is take the time over the weekend, maybe, to write down all the things that you bring to the table when it comes to the service that you offer, and get as clear as you can on that certainty. Because often what happens is we start a business and we almost like discount all the experience that we've had, or we forget about all the things that we bring to that exact service. And people are buying based on you as well, right? So for you to become that go-to person, you've got to own your worth by actually taking the time to unpack all of those incredible things that make you you, that make you unique, that make your service unique, right? And so I would do that. I was literally journal on it this weekend. Like, what do I bring to the table? Write it all down. Let it be like a journal activity where you just set aside 10 minutes and just write and write and write and write all the things that you bring to the table. Because when you do that, your brain develops a whole level of evidence to go, well, hang on a minute. Fuck yeah, I actually do have all those qualifications. I do have all this experience. I can deliver on that. I can actually guarantee that. I can be certain of that. And that's that shift in that groundedness within yourself that you'll be like, yeah, actually. And next time you go into a sales conversation, you'll be able to sit with that and go, yeah, I do have all of these skills. I do have everything to deliver. I do have this message. And then when the client comes to you with objections, you can step back and go, well, hang on a minute. It's not about me. How can I serve them in this moment? They obviously need the service that I have to deliver. What questions or what conversation do we need to have about certain objections in order for them to come to the realization that they need? Because your life isn't going to change. And if you are attached to the outcome, then you end up being in that desperation energy, like, oh my God, this client has to sign on. Oh my God, like I really need this right now. You're in the wrong headspace, right? We've got to step back and go, how do I stay in the client's headspace and go, okay, what do they need to self-realize? What do they need to overcome in order for them to make the decision? Because their life is about to change, not yours, right? You have all the answers, you have all the support and all the things that you can do to change that. But they have to then come to that self-realization, and we're able to disconnect those two. It helps us be better at sales. It helps us actually be better business owners because we're not taking on board all the responsibility either. Yeah. Thoughts, questions? Is it a lot?
I was just seeing whether I had a thought, but it was a couple of slides back.
Oh,
but
go for it.
No, it was just around the sales one.
Yeah.
Funny again, because I think I added my own one again, but you might have touched on it at one point. I think I don't necessarily think I'm bad at sales or anything like that. That part is kind of okay. I think I'm more in a space where got so much going on that I almost don't want to do sales because I almost don't want the extra work sometimes. Well, it's not that I don't want, but you know what I mean.
Do you know what you do want?
Capacity to deliver and provide a good service. I don't want to overcommit,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I do.
Yes.
So I want to do everything, but I can't fit it all in actually physically. Because
do you find that when you're on those sales calls that you say yes, even if you're not sure you can deliver it?
oh yeah, and I work it out. Like I know but I've always done that.
Yeah. So it puts extra pressure on you to actually deliver it. So I wonder whether you're selling at that stage of business now where it's actually more about really getting super clear on the services that you do want to deliver.
Yeah, and that's the other thing I've been looking at, not refining, but looking at, well, not so much now, but for next year, how to refine or how to offer something where I know the parts of the service I can definitely offer, and then that's the offer in that.
100%.
Yeah, so that's what I'm looking at doing, which is a bit different, but is also okay.
But that's what's going to make you
rambling.
Yeah, no, that's perfect though, because that's what's actually going to make you stand out when you actually discern that and say yes and no to certain things, because you will know deep down, like if you're looking, like you'll know, like you'll look at those services and there'll be some that'll give you a feeling in your stomach where you're like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Those are the ones
those still bring in more money. So it's almost like you still keep a couple of those on because, you know.
And that's where the scarcity mindset comes into play, right? Because it's doubting that you'll be able to find those high-end clients or those clients that will pay it at those certain levels, right? Or that there'll be more clients. So, and that's so natural for us to get to that certain stage of business. So just know that it's part of the journey, but also going, well, hang on a minute, how many of those higher end clients do you need in order to achieve the level of success that you want, a level of goals that you want to achieve in your business? Because those lower grade clients or those lower grade services that you're offering are actually keeping you stuck at this level because they're most likely going to be the most time wasters.
Yeah.
Like, it cost you more in time, energy, and effort than anything else.
I know, but I like helping them.
So could you create a different role for that? Could you actually hire someone to specifically do?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm next year. That again is something I'll do in 6 to 12 months.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
sweet, because that's honestly will save you so much time and energy. Able to actually just serve the clients that you really want to serve, and whether you offload those little services off to one person, or you automate, delegate, figure out another way to actually take it off your plate.
Yeah. The idea is that I can delegate it and have a small team, and that would be great because then I can keep some of those clients, but then I'm just the client contact, but then they do the actual work. So that would be great.
Just a question. Do those clients ever graduate to that next level with you?
Well, that's the reason you kind of do the work, because they end up being either a long-term client, they give you more work once you've done one thing for them, and that's what happens. And then, for example, with one of them, they're on a retainer now. So, regular income. So there's reasons for doing it. And then another is that I've taken on a few smaller business clients recently, is I'm kind of testing that market for myself, whether it is a good offer or not. If it is, like, it is a bit more time intensive, but is it, those types of things.
Cool.
Sorry,
Stepping into some new places. It's awesome. And it's and I think it's one of those things in that challenging stage of business of like really discerning, getting really clear on where you want to be spending your time and energy. And it's the hard thing too, is like sometimes clients come to you thinking they want this thing and that's what they're looking for. So that's their initial sign into the business. But then through the education piece, they then go, oh, I need all of these other things.
Well, actually, I end up servicing them more because they do need it. So, yeah. I think the other thing is just because I had a baby last year and stuff, and then 3 kids and, time.
Yes. So it makes sense then, because I wonder, like with the sales.
That was more my thing, is that there's a lot of external factors that impacting actually how well I can deliver. The moment too.
And I wonder whether it's actually more like giving yourself the space and time to decide where it's going to fit, because rather than saying yes on the sales call or going, yes, we can actually do all these things, actually taking the time to go, okay, can I come back to you and give you a time frame of when those things can be delivered?
Because
they might also not be ready as well. So it might be that you go, okay, we can start with this project in February. We can do this project in March. So then you can actually project when to
That does
hire as
help.
well.
I find, because I work in recruitment, people normally come to you because they need something right now and they wanted it yesterday, which is a new person in the job. So it is great when people realize they want to recruit in advance and planning for it. And that does happen. And that's great. Those projects are great because you can plan for it and you can already kind of keep an eye out for people beforehand as well. But those ones are great because you kind of started before you start. But yeah, I find with recruitment, most people think they want something yesterday, but they haven't realized that a recruitment process takes 8 weeks. I mean, obviously it could be shorter, but
We've done well, right? If actually done well, it does take a good period of time. Otherwise you just hire based on desperation and then you end up hiring the wrong person, right?
The current market is also happening. So
yeah, exactly.
Anyway, sorry, chit chat.
Not at all. Not at all. All here for love good business conversations. So like I said before, so your worth, like it was number one on the 6 key things that we touched on in order to charge more. And then it's also recognizing that it's not actually determining, your worth is not determined by your prices in your business. And I feel like one of the biggest things for women in business is we give so much of ourselves that we end up being then affected by the rejection or by the busyness or being able to say no, like all of those things, when we actually need to separate it and go, hang on, what does the business need? And how can I separate my worth from that and go, okay, the business might be my expression in the world, absolutely, but I am worthy no matter what happens in the business, no matter who, whatever belief systems that I have. Worthiness is actually more of a decision, and it's something that you were born with. It's not something that you have to prove yourself to get. And then look at the business separately and go, okay, what does the business need in order for it to grow? What does it need for that expansion? And so we're able to step back and actually go and discern, right? Because it could be that I need to spend more time working on the business rather than in the business in order for it to grow. It could be that I need to step into more leadership shoes. It could be that I need to be more clear in the way that I communicate my value. It could be in the way that I'm presenting myself. It could be like, there's so many different key pieces when you think about, okay, what does the business need as a separate thing? Like if someone asked you to come in and look at their business from a separate, bird's eye view, and you were looking at someone else's business, could you do that for your own? Could you look at your business separately and go, hang on a minute, what does it need? And that helps us often take ourselves out of the business to really look at, hey, this isn't working, this is working. And I am such an incredible person, amazing, and I have a business, and this is what the business needs. So being able to do that really helps you not only stop yourself from burning out, but also create a business for longevity and profitability. The last little piece I want to touch on are using your expanders to accelerate your growth. So what I love about this is that I am such a firm believer in, taking yourself to the next level takes a decision, and it's about that next level of challenge. And one of the biggest things that I see in business is we can get caught in being reactionary. So we get stuck by just reacting to certain things that are happening, right? And where it feels really powerless when we're in that space. So things happen and then we have a reaction, and it can feel like we're all like being bounced around by certain things that are happening in the market, or by customers, or by employees, like all these different things that can happen. But when we actually start to acknowledge, well, hang on a minute, I want to grow, and we start to bring in choice, and we actually use our expanders for the purpose of growth, it feels much more empowering, and it allows us to take the wheel and take control of where we want to go, instead of just being reacted, instead of just reacting to everything that's happening around us. So look at these in 3 different ways. So the first one is our growth expanders. So how are we currently challenging ourselves to grow through the people that we surround ourselves with, through the places that we experience, through the places we visit, and through the experiences that we have. So this might be a growth expander, right? Like actually working on yourself and looking at these key things, looking at your mindset is a huge growth expander. So allowing yourself to be in this situation, to learn from this space, allows you to go, okay, this is how I can change and grow. It could be challenging yourself to be in new surroundings. It could be new containers, new groups, new people that you surround yourself with. It could be working with a coach to challenge you in ways that you've never been challenged before, or to help expand you because you can't see your own blind spots. So really thinking about, how am I looking at my next 6 months in business and go, how am I challenging myself to grow? If I'm consistently doing the same things, surrounding myself with the same people, the same experiences, I'm most likely going to expect the same results. Okay. So I look towards my next year and go, okay, so what are my growth expanders going to be for next year? How am I going to challenge myself? And that helps me actually take control of that growth, rather than feeling like I'm going to be bouncing around from the reactionary space. Number 2 is the confidence expanders. So if you do the same thing week in and week out, we don't develop confidence in areas that we need, because confidence, what underpins confidence is competency. So how do we get good at things? So it could be challenging ourselves to learn and grow. So it could be putting ourselves in situations to learn. It could be, the content that we consume. It could be making sure, like I actually, I've separated time in my week that I'm actually doing much more reading. Whereas often what can happen is we just end up watching TV, right? Whereas I find that now the time that I spend reading or listening to an audiobook is so valuable to me, because it keeps me inspired, keeps me growing, helps develop my confidence, because I might be also learning from others, but also in the same way, our brains always go, well, how am I the same or different? So it helps me then go, oh, well, I would share it differently here, or this is what I could add value to this conversation. It challenges us to be more confident. And so this could be who you surround yourself with. Do you leave the interactions that you have with people feeling good about yourself, or is it not the case? It could be opportunities. So I look at that hugely. So I look at my next 6 months and go, okay, so what would challenge me to be more confident? What would challenge me to grow in my level of confidence, right? So it could be applying for certain things. It could be, going for awards. It could be going for a speaking gig, like certain things that challenge me to expand my competency. How can I get better at what I'm doing? And so I'm always thinking about that when I'm thinking about, especially for a new year. It could be learning from those around you who have come before you. It could be making sure that you're putting yourself in those situations to learn, because otherwise we can just get caught up in our own life and doing the same thing all the time. Whereas we need to actually go, hang on a minute, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be a part of this group. I'm going to do this course. I'm going to, be a part of that program, or I'm going to go to these events regularly, like whatever it might be, in order to develop our confidence. And the third one is wealth expanders. Is some of my faves. So when I think about expanding your wealth, we want to have the same thing: people, places, experiences. So what can I use to expand my wealth identity? So we have our current identity with how we experience money right now, and how we spend money, how we receive it, like all of those types of things. But hang on a minute, if I want to grow more wealth, how would I need to be expanded? So one, do I need to be better at knowing my numbers? Do I need to do more mindset work? Do I need to work on visualizing what it would be like to have more wealth so it feels safer? Because if it doesn't feel safe at that level, you will repel it. Do I need to surround myself with people with abundant mindsets? Do I need to respect money in the way that I'm spending it? Because if I was wealthy, wouldn't I be more respectful with how I would utilize it? Maybe I need to be educating myself more at that level. Maybe I need to be using different growth strategies or investment strategies in order to protect my wealth or respect my wealth. Or do I need to get more comfortable with actually receiving it and holding on to it? So a lot of the time, these are all different mindset blocks. These are all different expanders. And I think about this of going, okay, so the next level, if that doesn't feel safe, then I will absolutely stay where I'm at. So I want to surround myself with people who have more wealth. I want to surround myself in conversations that talk about money. I want to actually start to think about how I would have conversations with my accountant, with my financial advisor, and start to think about things in different ways. And I'm also always reading books on this as well, because it's about developing that knowledge. Because like I said before, people who have extreme wealth, they think about money very differently to people who don't have any wealth, right? So we've got to start going, okay, so how are we utilizing money? How do we use it as wealth creation rather than just paycheck to paycheck? So what would be possible if you worked on all of this next year? Like imagine if you put those key things in place for next year and elevated that in every part. So worked on your money mindset, worked on your wealth expanders, your growth expanders, your confidence expanders. Where would you be by the end of next year? A whole different world, wouldn't it? Right. So I love that part, because expansion is such an important part, I feel, of we're always going to be expanding, we're always growing, but it's about the decision that we choose to grow. So when it comes to charging our worth and being able to charge more, it comes down to these key pieces: the beliefs about ourselves and our worth, the beliefs that we have around money and success, and the beliefs that we have about our skills and abilities. So I've touched on all three of these throughout this presentation, right? Now, once we have those ideas, because the beliefs are really much sitting up in our heads, we want to bring them down into our hearts, because they've got to be values aligned. They've got to be values aligned. If they're not aligned with your values, you will repel them. You won't work towards them. They won't be motivating or inspiring, right? Like if I said to you, oh, well, if you keep taking these actions towards becoming a famous influencer, so then you can be on the pages of magazines and, be known for how good you look, I'm imagining that's probably not something that you would value, and only because I don't value it. So I don't think you'd be attracted to me if, right? So like thinking about things that if it's not values aligned, you don't move towards it. And so you want to make sure that those core things are values aligned. And then we take it down into that's what we take action on, right? And this is why if we're not taking action on something in our business, it's because of these key things. It's either not values aligned, or we have belief systems that are limiting us, right? We don't believe it's part of who we are. We have all these limiting belief systems around money, about success, about our abilities, and about ourselves. So they're all so equally tied together. So today I've shown you that mindset impacts every part of your business, and you've got to believe in the value that you deliver before anyone else will. So doing that activity over the weekend would definitely help with that. So being able to know your worth first, and then think about how you communicate your value. And to feel confident to charge more, you've got to shift your blocks around money, about success, about yourself, and believe in the value that you have to offer. And to be the go-to person, you need to feel worthy. Otherwise, it just doesn't work. It's one of those things, like, it becomes inauthentic and just disingenuous. And to take your business to the next level, the foundation of it all is mindset. And so I want to share with you a little story about Jessie. Jessie was a part of one of my programs called Elevated, and she had this belief system around having to work hard to earn money. And the really interesting thing with that belief system that a majority of us have is that when we feel like we have to work hard to earn money, we have the opposite belief system that if I'm not working hard, I don't deserve it. So we end up then either judging ourselves or feeling guilty for taking a break. And we end up trying to prove our worth by working harder, and harder. And this is what Jessie was doing. She was literally burning herself out. And she felt like that she couldn't charge any more because she was actually taking money away from the client, and she felt guilty doing so. So she had a double whammy going on, basically. And so we worked on these belief systems to help her shift them. And she was able to then figure out how to change the way that she saw money in her business, change the way that she saw herself in her business, because she knew there was something that was missing, that wasn't hitting the mark. And the key piece that for her was being able to see the value that she delivered and really owning her worth from that space. And then, so now, like, this is what she had to say, that I now see the value that I can add. I don't see it as money in exchange for time, but I value the exchange for money, for a monetary value. And that's what it is. It's an energy, money exchange, value exchange. She said, I can see my worth and have increased my prices to match that. And I'm more mindful and grateful to money, and instead of feeling like a lot of expenses come out and come up, I see it as that I'm receiving and able to have access to all the things that I would like to also value exchange. This is why I like to look at money. It's like it's an energy exchange. You get to use it on certain things that give you value. And it's the same thing for your customers, right? So what I wanted to actually share with you is that there is an element of this working with your mindset that helps you shift your blocks and to feel much worthy of receiving that amount of wealth, and to be able to have the confidence to show up and own your worth, but also sell yourself unapologetically. So if this is something that you would like to work on, I'm going to share with you an opportunity to continue to work with me in the new year. And if it's something that you'd like to explore, then more than welcome to stay on and answer any questions that you may have. So if you want to imagine what would be possible if you felt confident in what you offer, and unapologetically promoted yourself, you felt confident in your pricing and started charging what you were worth, that you no longer felt stressed about money or worrying about where your next client is going to come from. And you dropped the hustle. So you learned how to balance the action and the flow in your business needed to have a sustainable business. You felt worthy of the success that you created and started being the CEO in your business instead of just hoping that you are. Shifted from a scarcity mindset into an abundant mindset, so you can start to actually believe in what you offer and start seeing the results in your business and life. The way I see it is that you have three options. There are other ways to work on this. Obviously, you can do nothing and stress about it and continue to stay where you are, or you can read about it. You can do the affirmations. You can listen to all the podcasts and all of those types of things. It takes a lot of time, yes, or I can share with you my step-by-step framework that helps you transform your mindset and create that long-lasting change that you're looking for. This is what my Elevated program is all about. It's my signature 9-week business program that is for women in business in order to transform their worth, their money, and their business. So this program will take you from stressed and overworked to feeling confident to charge what you're worth, to be able to sell yourself unapologetically and become the powerhouse woman of a profitable and sustainable business. I'll be running this next year from February, and it'll go for a full 9 weeks. And this is all about developing that confidence to charge what you're worth. So we do all the mindset work, and I start with the mindset work because it is the foundation to help you shift those money blocks, to be able to change the way that you believe about your worth. So we work on your self-worth early on, and then we start to look at your money in your business. Because a lot of the time what can happen is because of all the mindset blocks, we don't even want to look at the money side. So we want to work on those blocks first, then we work on the money to create that financial freedom in your business. And then we start to step into sales and the business side of things. So it's a live group coaching experience where you get access to me to get coached, get your questions asked. And then I also share with answered. And then I also share with you neuroscience backed strategies that help to break through the belief systems that are holding you back. Work on a subconscious level, which is what creates a long lasting change. So we're not just talking about it. We're not just chatting about and answering questions. It's actually about the certain processes that I take you through over the period of time that I work with you. I also then help you develop that abundant mindset so you can step into developing that, because what can happen is that we're always impacted by a scarcity mindset out in the world. And unless we're actually replacing that with belief systems that are actually useful, we keep believing what's happening out in the world, right? We keep believing there's not enough clients to go around. We keep believing that I have to have these certain things in place in order to charge what I'm worth. It's not, it's all mindset stuff. So we need to work on that first. So elevated, I want to be mindful of your time. So I'm not going to share with you the testimonials. They'll be on the page. I'll share the link with you in a minute and you can watch all those. And basically what we dive into mindset first. So we go into a 6 to 7 figure mindset, shift all your money blocks. We take you through a powerful process in week 2. Then we dive into charging your worth, exploring your self-worth, and being able to develop your self-worth so you can drop the people pleasing and create the sustainable business with high ticket offers that serve your clients in a really high, powerful way. Then we explore your relationship with money. We want to understand how we're currently relating with money and change that to a more abundant way. And then we work on your financial freedom. So setting up your business with profit first, and it's starting to actually consider the next level of creating sustainable and irresistible business that you love, getting paid well for doing what you love. This is actually split over 2 weeks because it is a big module, and we work on money generating activities and how you actually create wealth rather than just continuing to do the same thing week in, week out. Number 6, we go into the energetics of money. So we actually dive into attracting your next level and exploring that next level of abundance. So we open up your receiving channel and help you stop self-sabotaging your wealth. And I'll share with you some practical tools to actually raise your vibration and become a magnet for more money, more clients, and more success. Number 7 is where we dive into sales. So week 7 is all about selling unapologetically. You'll understand the sales process, clear all those money blocks around your sales fears, and start to learn how to convert in a much more comfortable way. Because I feel like one of those big things is that, yes, you need to get comfortable with sales. You need to understand what you bring to the table. So it's about how you unpack your uniqueness as well. Week 8 is pushing through that next glass ceiling. So we all have money thresholds that we stay safe under. So I want to actually take you through a really powerful process to shift that so you can step into that next level of abundance and shift that thermostat. So then you're actually allowing that to come into your existence and break through any other self-sabotaging behaviors that are holding you back. And then week 9, we bring it all together and help you step into your badass CEO shoes. So this is where you take your business to the next level by activating a yearly sales plan and looking at your growth and profit in a whole new way, and help you take aligned action that are going to serve that next level of growth in your business. So I'm just going to skip a little bit of this because I feel like I have gone way over time. So sorry. So when you join Elevate, it'll kick off in the first week of February, and you'll have live group coaching sessions with me. You'll also have lessons dropped weekly. So I understand that we're very time poor, and I really want to be able to make sure that we have so much value in this program. So each Friday, you'll get a couple of modules dropped which you can listen to and watch on your own time. And then you'll have our live group coaching session on a Thursday. You'll also get access to my sales script, sales plan, and client manifestation script. You'll also get access to a money rewiring audio that I get you to listen to at nighttime before you go to bed, which helps to rewire your neural pathways for wealth. And then also the supportive community of all these beautiful ladies that become part of this journey. It's such a beautiful way to see everyone else going through the same thing that you're going through and working through those mindset blocks, asking the questions that maybe you don't realize that you have, and allow you to up level in different ways. So when you join Elevated, you get the core course content, the supportive community, all the access to all the extra resources that I share. I often do other experiences that, depending on where the journey of the group is going and what they need, I sometimes bring in other people to also generate a beautiful experience to shift anything that's possibly holding you back. And where am I? So I also want to share with you that from January, I will be raising the price on this program. And so I wanted to give you the opportunity for joining me today, that you can get an actual fast action bonus if you would like to join the program for February, and you could sign up actually in 2022 prices. So then you're not actually getting the 2023 prices. So if you sign up before the 18th, sorry, no, that's today. Sorry, I meant to say December, 18th of December. You also get access to these fast action bonuses. So you'll get a one-on-one private coaching session with me, where we'll actually work through a releasing process of your money blocks. So it'll be more personalized, specific to you. Then you'll also get my Aligned for Success course, which is a 45 video handbook on how to uplevel your business, your mindset, and your success, valued at $422. And you'll also be able to secure it in our 2022 prices. So this looks like either 3 payments of 567 Australian dollars, which is inclusive of GST as well, which will give you full access to the program. Or if you prefer to pay in full, it's $14.97. Or I do have a longer payment plan as well for you. This is not something I normally offer, but I know that it's still a couple of months before we hit February. So I decided to extend out a payment plan. But if you would like to secure 2022 prices, you can do 6 payments of $283 if you get started before December 18. So I'll share with you the link in the chat box. This is the link just on the bottom here. And you'll see all the testimonials there, all the information that you need to get started. And if there's any questions that you have, that's the date we will start, February 2nd. And that way you can kick off the new year fresh and ready to go, diving into all of your mindset blocks and anything that's holding you back. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate all your questions, all your thoughts, all your input. It makes such a difference when I have people who are actually interactive in a session. So I've just popped the link there in the chat box. And I'm just going to open up the floor. I'm going to stick around for a few minutes if you have questions.
I have a question.
Right.
So for me, who's only really just started out and doesn't have, not embarrassing, I was going to say embarrassingly, but understandably, doesn't have the systems and processes and all of that kind of stuff in place. Some of the stuff that you were reading out for that says to me that maybe I need that in place to be able to really benefit from this, because I'm still in that scramble stage and figure it out as I go along. So
yeah, do you feel like there's mindset blocks holding you back with everything that we covered off today?
100%.
Yeah, then 100%. It'll 100% serve you. So I feel like this program is very much for business owners that are earning under 100K. So if you're earning over 100K, then you more find that my one-on-one coaching program is more likely suited to you. If you're earning under 100K, it sets up all the foundations. Like these are some of the things that I wish I'd fucking known in my first year of business. Right? Like if I'd actually known these belief systems, if I'd actually worked on the strategies that I share with you and the foundation pieces of how to set your business up really for an abundant space, I would be like so much further along than I am now. Like honestly, with some of the things that I teach you. So it is definitely the foundational program that I run, being my signature program. So no matter where you are right now, Gail, like I know we've had many chats, like, yeah, it'll definitely serve you with where you're at right now.
Okay, perfect. And the payment plan, is that weekly or is it just?
No, monthly. So the 3-part payment is monthly payments, and the 6 is 6 months. So 1 payment a month for 6 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Any questions, Sally?
I was wondering more around if you did still do one-to-one coaching, actually.
Yes, I do. I do one-to-one coaching for clients that are at that next level. And it's much more of a deeper transformational work. And we do a journey of 3 months is the initial commitment. And I would probably want to chat with you one-on-one to work out exactly what it is that you need. And that's probably the next steps. And what was I going to say? It's very much, sorry, I only work with a minimum of clients. That's why. So I don't necessarily talk about it a lot because I only work with 8 clients at a time because of the commitment, but also the partnership that I work with them in their business. So there's a very high level touch coaching. So yeah, yes, we can definitely work one-on-one if you'd like to. We can have a chat about it if you like.
Okay, cool. That sounds fun.
Awesome. Amazing. Thank you so much for both joining me today. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions, feel free to send me a DM or an email. And I hope you have an enjoyable rest of your year. And I'll see you all really soon.
Thank you.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.